Well, hello there. This is Virtuoso Chess Noob learning and having fun with chess. Merch at chessnoob64.com. And those of you who follow my channel will know that I've recently just published this book, 50+2 Chess Quick Wins, available right now on Amazon. It's done pretty well actually over the past week. Don't miss out on your copy. Have a look at the description. Now, in this game, I had the black pieces and my opponent led with the bishop's opening, and I have a particular approach to the bishop's opening which I think this game demonstrated fairly well. I do reasonably well out of the opening. This game also really demonstrates the potential power of pins in the middle game and the end game. Let's go take a look. I've got the black pieces, and as I mentioned, white led with the bishop's opening. So e4, e5, and the immediate bishop to c4. Now, if you look at sort of Stockfish evaluation, their recommendation is knight to f6 as the best approach by black. The bishop's opening actually gives a little bit of advantage to black. However, the way I usually approach it is actually the other knight, the queen's knight, knight to c6. And the logic here is that I don't really want to play into the trickiness of the bishop's opening. So there are potentially lots of traps for white. I don't like playing into it. I don't want to particularly study it. And here, one of the most common moves for white, in fact, their best move, is in fact to transpose to an Italian by developing the king's knight. Now, sometimes white will develop their other knight, and that's okay too. So if they develop the other knight, as they did in this game, effectively we transpose into the Vienna game, max Lange Defense. Now, black often wouldn't want to transpose here because it's pretty good potentially for white. However, I'm quite familiar with the Vienna. I'm usually a Vienna player with the white pieces, so I'm perfectly happy to transpose into Vienna because I feel like I know what to do. And here we do fine. Develop the other knight, they push that pawn, so effectively we're now in the bishop's opening, the Berlin-Vienna Hybrid. Fairly positional game, it's okay. Develop the bishop, that's fairly normal. Develop my d pawn. They develop their bishop, slightly inaccurate. You can see the development of the knight to the edge of the board, attacking my bishop is in fact the best move. Here I ask the question, what are they doing with their bishop? They pull that back. And here I decide to play my first provocative move. So as you know, I don't particularly like positional games. I prefer it when it's a little bit more dynamic. I was hoping that they will capture back, capture here. That allows me to open up my f-file. That actually is the best move, but white decides to play another provocative move of their own, which was forward with the knight. That's an interesting move. It's provocative. It's not their best move, but I need to find the best counter. The best counter here actually is g5, disconnecting this double attack that white has. I wasn't sure I wanted to do that, actually. I thought maybe I still wanted to castle kingside. So in the end, I decided to play a edge knight move of my own, knight to a5, attacking their bishop. And here, that was an inaccuracy. That was a straight up mistake, about plus 1.7, almost plus 2, because here they can just capture. So captures, takes, they capture here to get their bishop out of the way. I take, of course, my pawn structure potentially is damaged. However, I've got a very, very strong, pawn center here. They attack with the queen. And here the thing to know is that it's perfectly okay to move the king. I kind of knew this. So king to d7, and fundamentally white's attack fizzles out. You can see at a low depth Stockfish, almost 0.000. What's a little bit better? It's about plus 0.4. However, they need to keep the queen into the attack, even though it doesn't look like they can necessarily infiltrate. It feels a bit uncomfortable. They pulled their queen back. That's an inaccuracy. And actually, black is slightly ahead here. It's about minus 0.5. So, double attack on that pawn I decide to bring the rook here to defend. And, I do have some issues here because I'm a bit cramped. They developed the knight. I now need to sort of rotate my knight sort of into here, trying to think, what am I going to do here? Do I, anyway, needed to get my knight out of the edge of the board. They push that pawn, probably a waiting sort of move, but also probably didn't want to have my knight jump here, which was what I was potentially thinking. Move my queen, so I thought, maybe I could sort of rotate this way. They now short castles. That was an inaccuracy because, we've got a semi-open G file here. I've got some potential attack. So I've committed now to not castle. Of course, my king is in the center, but it's okay. Really strong center of pawns. King is okay. It's reasonably safe. And potentially these pieces can rotate to the kingside files, and that's what I end up doing. All right, queen to G7. Now, part of the middle game and end game here is all about pins. Note the pins. So the G pawn is pinned. They bring the knight over. And here I saw an impending problem because 1, 2, and potentially 3. So that's a bit of an issue because I couldn't really think of a way I could get, three defenders. So here I decide to push that pawn forward. Stockfish calls it a mistake. Stockfish rates it at plus 1.5. However, it's only a mistake if white finds the right sequence. So I thought I couldn't defend with that pawn on f6. Here, they take, I take back, undoubling those pawns. I expected them to capture back, but that was a mistake. They actually needed to play b4, attacking the bishop. On the other side, really hard to see that move. They took, you can see that's a mistake. And, sure, they win a pawn, but pinned. Pinned. That is not so good for white. Here, it's 0, 0, 0. So we're completely equal. Remember, however, when you're down on material, so when one side is up on material, but it's 0, 0, 0, the other side, so me, I actually have the better position. And often the side with the better position, it's easier for them to play. It's any mistakes are less impactful, or for white, their mistakes are more impactful. Let's see what happens. So obviously I need to move my queen. Queen slides forward to G6. Let's have a look at what's happened. Still pinned, knight can't move, pinned to the queen. So they push forward their pawn. That's actually a good move for them. However, place pressure on the pinned piece. H5. They move the king out of the pin. Makes sense. Here, take, but now rook to G8. That bishop is now pinned. That's stops basically that knight from coming here because I'll be able to take with check. So very, very nice maneuver, if I do say so myself. Have a look here. White spends 4 minutes out of the remaining time thinking from the next move. They couldn't really work out what to do. And they move the rook. Doesn't work because that pin still exists. That inhuman looking move, or you have to find b4. Again, very difficult to find that move. Kind of makes sense, I suppose, but it doesn't work. Now I've got move the knight. Place pressure on the pinned piece. Now you might ask, well, that knight's not pinned. Well, it's pinned dynamically because, I'm attacking here. They have to defend, and because they have to defend, that knight can't move. And that bishop can't take my knight. It's pinned to the king. So good, I thought that was a really good move. They move their king now, trying to move out of the pin, but pinned. Here again, I can now take with check. They cannot take back this way, have to take with the queen, trade queens, they take, but now as we enter into the end game, fully open H file, fully open G file, the king completely exposed. they're in some trouble. Rook A G8 with check. What's the king going to do? Okay, are they going to abandon the defense of that bishop? Of course not. They tried to defend the bishop. That was a blunder. They had to go the other way. They had to give up that bishop. And in fact, here there is a mating net, an extraordinary mating net, a mate in 21 on very high depth, Stockfish 16 NNUE. Of course, I can't see that, but I do know that this is pretty bad for white. Now, one of the things is that bishop, once again, is pinned. Place pressure on the pinned piece. The bishop captures with a fork of the rook and also their bishop. They make the right move, defend with their rook with a rook move. However, that's okay. Rook G3 check, defended by my bishop. King is forced to move. I think that's a forced move. That's the only move. Here, I need to move my rook out of the way, so I capture that pawn. No, Stockfish thinks that that's not the most accurate move. We actually get out of a mating net here. That's why it's an inaccuracy. Here, that's that mate in, I don't know. I think here I've got a mate in 16. Okay, so it drops to -6, so still completely winning. Remember, that bishop is still pinned, still attacked there. They try to do some clever things. Doesn't really work. I take... if they take back, they just end up straight up losing their rook. They don't want to lose a piece. They try to move. It's a blunder again. Very hard for them to play. Rook G8, check again. King forced back. Bishop, check. King forced into one of these two squares. It doesn't really matter. Bishop to F4, disconnecting that rook from those files. Again, also with a discovered check. King moves, and here, rook H8, it's a skewer. King moves. Now here, because I just saw a skewer, I immediately captured. However, that was a relatively inaccuracy, but it caused emotional damage. White resigned, I won. However, there was a better move, which was rook to G3. That's a very beautiful mate. Nonetheless, my sort of move still won the piece. Emotional damage, as I said. Good game. GG. The big takeaway from this game is to watch out for pins, particularly in the middle game and end game. And more than that, place pressure on the pinned piece. I hope you enjoyed this video, and thanks for watching.